What's up, Saab fans around the world, and welcome back to another video. So it has been a while once again. Last time I updated on this channel, I took the engine out and started to prepare everything to tear it apart and redo all the work that I have done previously, which is now already done. Ta-da! But I will walk you through what I have done so far, and we have something that we need to fix today. And when I say fix, I mean verify. We need to verify an issue that I'm having with the car right now. So the engine is back together. I have driven the car around 50 kilometers since the new engine has been installed. And we have something that we need to verify, but more on that later. Right now I will walk you through what I have done with the engine since the last time you saw it on YouTube. So I have installed a brand new crankshaft that I bought, which is in mint condition, and I took it to a balance shop. So I have balanced the crankshaft together with the pulley, the flywheel and the clutch plate or the pressure plate, and balanced everything as one assembly, and it was 80 grams off in balance. So we have removed 40 grams to get it to 0 and perfectly balanced, and the car runs so much smoother right now than it did before. So if you ever lighten your flywheel, make sure that you balance everything. All the pistons and rods has been also separately balanced, so they have the exact same weight. So as I said before, the car runs really smooth right now. And when I disassemble everything on the car, I built a new oil pan because the old one had a few revisions, you could say. You can see down here, when I built the engine, I built the oil pan. I had one of these baffles on the other side. When I installed it in the car, that didn't fit, so I deleted that, re-welded everything again. And once you have had oil in the oil pan, it's extremely hard to weld it again. And then I saw that the steering rack wouldn't fit with all the fittings, so I had to make this cutout as well, which is definitely not premium and nothing you want to have. And also the flange has been an issue because I didn't weld everything together when it was bolted down to a block, so it got warped. I machined it, or had friends machine it, so it gets 100% flat, but it's not much left of it right now. It's like 3 millimeters thick. So I built a brand new oil pan, and so far it has not leaked anything. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a brand new one and it's clean, fully built. And I also improved on the pickup pipe because, if you can see, the old pickup pipe, the pickup for the oil pan or for the oil pump is 25 millimeters. So I had a 25 millimeter down to 20 millimeter and then down to the actual pickup, which was also 20 millimeters. Now I have 25 millimeters all the way, and I had a German subscriber calculating on the flow, and the flow is increased but it doesn't drop the pressure, so it's a big improvement. And when it comes to the oil pressure, what could go wrong is this cover right here where we have the oil pump. So I saw that this was a little bit scratched, so I installed a brand new oil pump from Mapkin. So this is the old one, so this will never get reused. That's why it sounds like this right now. And another issue with this front cover of the engine is this little piston that you have that goes into this little hole. So this is like a reduction valve that should make, if you get too high of a oil pressure, this should reduce the pressure. So this is installed right here, and it's put in with a spring. And what happens is, I will see if I could get this on the camera. This is pretty hard to see. Try to zoom in on it. Here you can see that it has a few scratches around, and the same scratches we have inside of this little hole right here. Extremely hard to get focus on it, but there is a lot of scratches here as well. And what happens is, when this valve is going to reduce the pressure and it's scratched up like this, it could get stuck and always reduce the pressure, so you will not get up to the working pressure. So I bought an entirely new cover with a really nice piston inside of it with very little scratches. It was like one smaller one. And this seems to be very common to have scratches in this valve, so you could just lightly brush it off with some like light Scotch-Brite or similar. And what you also could do to keep the pressure up is install a little washer. So this is an M6 washer which fits perfectly inside of there, and when you install it back, you will get more tension and more pressure on this spring. So that is something that I have installed on the engine right now. So I have two washers pushing on the spring, and when I start the car it has perfect oil pressure as it should have, but as it gets hot in the engine it drops the oil pressure. So as I said before, I have run it for 50 kilometers. It runs and drives perfect and smooth as it should. And the last time I drove it was yesterday, and when I came home it had 0 oil pressure at idle, which it should not have. It should have like 1.4 bars of oil pressure. And what I did since last time, I could remove the grill right here so you can see how my system is set up. So I have a big 19-row oil cooler right here with AN10 fittings that goes to the block, and then I have an oil filter up here. So this area right here was where I had the oil pressure sensor first, but when I rebuilt the engine now, I moved it, so I have it on the side of the block, if you can see it right here in the middle. So it sits in the middle of the block and it measures at the absolute core of the block. This is where you want to know the oil pressure. Of course you could tap into the back of the cylinder head and get the oil pressure there as well, but then it will be a little bit lower. But at idle it should be around 1.2, 1.4 bars or something like that, very close to. And of course it depends a little bit on a few different things, how the car is set up, what type of oil pan you have, etc. But on an original engine with 5W30 oil, which is the recommended for Saab, it should have around 1.4 bars when it's around 100 degrees. But mine is at 0. But if I would have had 0 oil pressure, then the lifters would have started to tick immediately and the car wouldn't run smooth at all. And you could see on this where I have the oil pressure sensor. I have the external oil pressure sensor, and I also have the original sensor that will measure the oil pressure and lighten up the oil lamp inside of the car on the instrument cluster. But that doesn't light up at all, or it does light up, but when I get 0 oil pressure, the lamp doesn't start to flash. So me and Joel and a few of his friends has said that most likely the sensor, the external sensor, is toasted. So I have got from my friend and one of my sponsors, Maskinteknik i Kalmar, a mechanical equipment to check the pressure. So this is no electrical bullshit connected whatsoever. So here, when I connect this, I will get the proper readings on the oil pressure. So that is what we are going to do today. So I'm going to hook up this M14 times 1.5, which is the threads on the oil contact. And we will hook up this and tape it down to the window and then start the car, and we will compare this measured value together with my original that I have in the car. So when I bought this car and started the build, I had an oil pressure sensor from Biltema, which is terrible. It's crap all the way. So I bought this from Autogauge, which should be a pretty solid one and a pretty good one, but we will connect it, and I think I will tape it down to the window so I will see the oil pressure on both of them, and we will run the car so it gets up to temperature, and we will compare them to verify if the sensor is scrap. Okay, you will not see too much, it's pretty dark in here, but this line right here is connected to the exact same position as the original sensor. Not the original sensor, but the oil pressure gauge from Autogauge. So now I have this one right here and this one, and if everything works as it should, then we should have a higher value on this one than on this one when the engine gets up to temperature. But if they read the same, then we have an issue. So let's start and see what happens. And now the original oil pressure sensor is not connected, so I reckon we will have an oil light. An oil leak instead, because this doesn't read anything at all. So the first one did leak, the second one didn't leak, but I didn't get any pressure on this gauge right here. Very strange. So now I have tested a different one, and we will see if this one reacts at all. We got pressure on the gauge, but I don't have anything at all right here. So strange. Oh, now we have it. this one reads 2 bar and this one is slightly above. See if we have any leaks. Engine runs smooth. So it's usually when it gets up to temperature it gets a little bit interesting. Let it run for a while and then we will see if it gets down to 0 again. I can see that this one is going down as well, so we might have an issue. I am pretty confident to say that my pressure sensor is working equally well as this one, because now we are getting close to not 0, it's still at 1 bar, but see as I rev and get the engine up to temperature, it just keeps lowering. I will let it go all the way though, because this has gone down to 0, and we will see if this one goes down to 0 as well. Yeah, I think we could stop right here because it would just keep going down. Even though it's running smooth on idle, this is definitely not how it's supposed to be. It should be a lot higher, so we have some internal leakage in the engine block, so I need to start to tear that apart. So I have done a balance chain delete on this engine, and I have pushed in sleeves to block off the oil passage or the oil feed inside of the block, and I know for a fact that the inner sleeves are not centered, so that could be one possible little leakage, because the oil pressure is good as long as the oil is a little bit colder. So I could probably fix the oil pressure by getting a thicker oil, but that would be to sheet a lot, because then I wouldn't have as good lubrication of the engine. So the only thing to do right now is actually to not tear the engine out, because it's rear wheel driven. I could just disassemble like the intercooler, the radiator, and then pick off this front panel and drop the oil pan. Then I will have access to actually push in the sleeves a little bit further, and also check the blocking for the tensioner, because it's been a few years since I did it, so I want to double check so it's perfectly fine, because now I have had the same issue with this oil pan, with that oil pan, so it's definitely not anything with the oil pan or this piston that sits in the block that I showed you before that controls the oil pressure. because on this one it was broken after the first major engine teardown, and this one is actually perfect, so I know for a fact that it's working. But yeah, that's what we need to do right now, because everything else would just be cheating, so we need to do it the proper way. And as I said, it's not too hard, takes a little bit of time, but it's manageable to do it inside of the engine with the engine still left, so I don't need to remove everything again, but I need to drain the oil and everything, and it sucks a little bit, but yeah, this is life with modifying cars. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It's not too fun to do this, but either way, I think I have a clue, because now I have touched upon everything that could be with oil pressure or this kind of stuff. So I need to dig into the engine and see that the sleeves are sitting where they're supposed to before anything else gets damaged, because clearly not everything in the engine is working as it should. So we need to fix that, get it up to speed. The weather is getting more nice by every day right now, so I really want to have this car finished, registered for the roads, and be able to drive it. This job right here shouldn't be too hard, but I will start sometime when I have the motivation, and we will see, we will go from there. So I will have you on the journey and see if we could actually fix this. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.